For the South Bank Show, Central News.
Good evening. Police searching for the killer of Nicola Dixon, the teenager murdered 2 years ago on New Year's Eve, say new information is still coming in every week. So far, detectives have taken more than 6,000 statements and voluntary DNA samples from nearly 3,000 men. Nicola's parents want a bronze sculpture to be erected near the spot where she was killed, and the local council is expected to give the project the go-ahead.
Nicola Dixon made this sunflower design shortly before she was murdered. Now her father wants it to be cast in bronze and then placed near the spot where she was killed.
I think it'd be a very nice thing to brighten up perhaps what's otherwise somewhere which has got very dark memories for us.
Nicola was murdered in Sutton Coldfield on New Year's Eve 2 years ago. Today her father was with the detective leading the hunt for her killer. He says new leads are still coming in every week, and he appealed for even more help from the public.
Well, in the last 2 years, there have been 11,000 people's details obtained, which are on our database now. We've interviewed 6,000 or taken statements from 6,500 people. There's been over 8,000 separate lines of inquiry, and we've taken voluntary DNA samples from 2,800 men.
Someone out there must have some inkling as to who did this. That they would not be able to live with themselves if they had information now which they didn't bring forward. And so we would appeal for people to do that now, and if this acts as a reminder, then so much the better.
Tomorrow, on the anniversary of Nicola's death, councillors are expected to give the go-ahead for the bronze sculpture to be erected in Sutton Coldfield, a tribute to a young student who is missed by so many of her friends in the town.
Protesters trying to stop a new road being built say they're preparing to see in the new year at fresh sites along the proposed route. One man has a broken leg, but in spite of his injury, he's tunnelling on while he waits for the next visit from the bailiffs.
Demolition teams have replaced the protesters at Moneymore Cottages at Weeford near Lichfield. Now the protesters are concentrating on Green Wood, a few yards up the road. It also lies in the path of the Birmingham Northern Relief Road. Below ground, more bunkers and even more tunnels. Despite injuries, Gunter has a broken leg, the tunnelling goes on.
The plan is just dig, and hopefully, by the time they come in evict us, we'll be ready again.
So is it going to be a similar story to other cottages, to be a network of tunnels beneath here?
Yeah, much more extensive network of tunnels at Greenwood than there is over at the cottages. We've got much more space to work, and it's easier to dig around here because we aren't hindered by the buildings. So yeah, we should be able to get several tunnels up and running before they evict us.
The camp is almost deserted, with just a handful of protesters remaining. Many are spending Christmas with their families, and the mood among those left behind is far from celebratory.
We do seem a little bit more subdued, but I think it's because we've got a mammoth task ahead of us and so much to do, so little time to do it in.
The protesters say they're preparing to occupy other sites along the planned route to try to stop the road being built.
We've got several sites ready to be taken now, so it's just a case of waiting for the people to come back and everyone gets their orders and we take all the sites we're going to take.
An eviction notice was served on the protesters in this wood 3 days before Christmas. It won't be long before the second round in the Battle of Weeford gets underway.
Police have arrested a man after a 6-hour siege outside a house. A man threatened and then shot at officers with an air rifle in Kidderminster. He continued to threaten them with violence and police had to storm the house. No one was injured. A man is now in custody. Detectives are questioning a teenager about the murder of a drug dealer. The body of Christos Joannides was discovered at his flat in Northfield in Birmingham on Boxing Day. He'd been stabbed in the chest. An 18-year-old man has been arrested. Finally, a 14th century coaching inn has had a vote of confidence to take it into the new millennium. It's beaten off local competition to win an accolade from the Campaign for Real Ale.
Locals at the Swan Hotel in Brood in Staffordshire have got every reason to celebrate. Their watering hole has just been named as the Camera Midlands Pub of the Year.
Why have they won the award? Well, they're just such great ambassadors for the Campaign for Real Ale. No matter when you come in, they always have a good range of good quality ales available, and they're all, you know that you're going to get a good pint, whichever one you pick.
The old coaching inn dates back to the 14th century. 32 horses were once stabled here to pull the mail coaches to and from Holyhead, and there was even a brewery on the premises. You can't offer a brewery on site anymore,
No.
but what have you got that's so good?
Well, we try to give everyone a decent range of beers and run the pub as a traditional pub, because that's what we think people want, an old traditional pub.
No darts, no dominoes,
No television,
no real music.
no jukebox.
The Swan Hotel now goes forward to the finals of the National Pub of the Year competition. The results are expected early in the new year, so the locals may be celebrating again.
That's all for now. We're back again early tomorrow morning, but for now, very good night to you.
Central Weather, sponsored by Stay Bright Windows and Conservatories. The clear choice in any weather.
Hi, good evening. This time tomorrow you may well be in the party mood, poised to ring in the new year. And the weather looks like being on our side. The odd shower around, but nothing really to spoil the celebrations. And it's not looking too bad for tonight either. Light winds with plenty of clear spells, so it'll become quite chilly, temperatures dipping to around 3 Celsius, and that is low enough just for a touch of ground frost. But it does mean we're in for a bright morning, even some sunshine, and it'll be mostly dry, although there'll be some thicker cloud towards the east there, and that may encourage the odd unwanted shower. A few more of those unwanted showers in the east later on, but quite mild again, highs of 9 Celsius in a light southeasterly wind. And the last few hours of 98 will be mostly dry and not too chilly, but the new year may begin a little more damp and chilly around the edges. See you tomorrow. Good night.
The Central 7-Day Weather Line, 0336 40 40 10.